How's it going, everyone? Mufara here. Welcome to Heliopolis Radio. And today I'm fortunate to be joined by Azzah Manukova. And so she's quite a unique individual. And I actually don't feel like it's justice for me to do the introduction. So I actually hand it over to you, Azzah. Tell us about yourself. And yeah.
About myself.
Yes.
I've been, I grew up in Australia, Russian parents, and I suffered a hell of a lot of racism in Australia, even though I'm white and I'm Russian. So people treat me a certain way because of what I look, but there's a different reality inside. And that was a humongous conflict. And I had a choice, go crazy or be a therapist. So I decided to be a therapist.
Okay. So actually coming into
Make
that.
it work for you, you know?
Coming into that, so you've actually traveled quite a bit, and I just want to ask, I mean, obviously we all have our spiritual journey in this life, but would you say that it's kind of just been something that's been a core part of your life, traveling a lot and seeing different parts of the world, or is it something that...
Yeah. Traveling is an education in itself, you know, because I'm traveling, but I'm doing workshops. I'm working with people. So I have to come from where they're coming from, you know. I have to understand them. I have to suss out, you know, and use my intuition and vibe where they're coming from to be able to communicate, which is a humongous education, you know. It's just a humongous education. Like in Japan, compared to a Western country, you deal with the trauma of family and then school and society and that. In Japan, you deal with society, school and family. You know, so it's the opposite direction. So each culture has its own way and expression and everything. And for me to have to learn that, to be able to work with people, has been an amazing education.
Wow. And so in terms of just the places you've traveled, have there been any locations that have particularly stood out to you? Just, you know, every time you travel, there's always some place that touches your heart. I mean, every place touches you, but there's always a certain place where a certain type of magic kind of happens.
I'd say Philippines, because Filipinos. When I work with Filipinos in a group, they go straight to the bottom, you know. The hardest people to work with are Western people, because they have to feel secure in their mind. It's like ask questions and what about this and where are your degrees and all of that, and it's all brain before you can get into any emotion.
100%.
Where with the Filipinos, they go boom right to the heart of everything so quickly. So they release themselves from the traumas that they've been through so quickly and move on. They're amazing. Filipinos are amazing.
It's incredible. I think the Western way of life, you know, you have to kind of construct a puzzle in order to function in a certain way. I think when you go to, not all countries, but specifically third world countries or where there's still a strong rural population, I think the ancestral way of life naturally leaves those people with an open heart. So with any stranger,
with so-called third world countries, they haven't been separated from the inside world for long. You know, they're still connected to their heart and their soul and their psyche. Where in Western countries, it's been generations since they separated, you know? So I mean, 80% of Americans take antidepressants or antipsychotics or anti-something. That tells you something right there, right? Like depression, expression. That's it. You know, if you are depressed, start screaming and crying and have it, you know, do what children do. and you come out of being depressed, cry, scream, do something, physically, and remove the emotional pus out of your body, right? That's it. No, take a pill, take 2, take 3 pills. Maybe this pill will work, That's crazy. So it's constantly castration from your own soul. And then what are you? You're a zombie.
And so I was actually going to ask, you've actually pursued you've actually gone through many different spiritual practices, particularly from the East. What drew you towards the Eastern practice of spirituality, if I could ask?
There's a saying in Russia, because my parents are Russian. Yeah. There's a saying in Russia, scratch a Russian and underneath you'll find an Asian. So that's why, I really relate to Asia. And I love the ancient, profound spiritual search of Asians. They found an acupuncture needle. For example, I was studying acupuncture. They found an acupuncture needle that's 12,000 years old.
Sheesh.
So it was already there. If it's 12,000 years old, it's much older than that, right? So and acupuncture works on the meridians, the energy lines through the body, as we have on Earth. There's the energy lines.
Yeah, there's the leeway lines around Earth and etc. Yes. Well, no, sorry, I cut you off there.
So they've had that wisdom in their culture, in their DNA, for a very, very long time. And it's amazing. Also, I've been really focusing on what you inherit from your ancestors. And to be castrated from yourself, you're castrated from lineages and lineages of your ancestors. So there's like a field of energy that we are, because we are energy, and that's been accumulated through ancestors. You can call your ancestors. Actually, you should call your ancestors, because by asking for help, you're helping them, their evolution. The natives say 7 generations in the past and future. If you work on your own evolution, whatever way, so you should be talking to your ancestors. You should be asking for help, and you need to. In that way, you will feel what you've inherited, the strength that you've inherited from them. 100%. It's very important. It's very important not to be castrated from your ancestors.
And so you work, obviously, as you already said, you've worked with different clients from many different areas of the world. And for those people that don't know what you do, could you maybe describe some of the type of programs you run, and what is the core of your various programs? And also, what would someone be expecting not expecting, you can never expect anything with a spiritual experience, but what kind of rough sense would they have in terms of what they might go through?
Number one, clearing trauma. And everyone's been through trauma. Oh no, I had a good upbringing, I'm fine, Yes and no, because parents don't know who you are. Your parents didn't know who you were as a child. Your potency, are you an artist? Are you a musician? Are you a mathematician? They don't know. And also, you don't know. You're searching for yourself, right, as a child.
Yeah.
So out of your parents' goodwill or whatever, bad will, goodwill, whatever, their own ignorance, they're trying to mold you in a certain direction and have you have certain values, but actually there's your nature going this direction, and that's traumatizing, because
100%.
what happens is I'm not good enough. I'm bad. If I don't separate from myself, then I won't be loved. I won't be, valued. So I have to separate from my own nature to be acknowledged and loved and cared for, and that attachment, you can't live as a child. You can't live without attachment. So I have to abandon myself to be able to have attachment.
Yeah.
So the journey is back home, back to who you really are. That's what I do, by clearing trauma, because trauma, it's like, this thing happened and it's so horrendous. So then I build like a amnesic cover where I forget this, but then you got symptoms, even though you forgot, I put it behind me. Oh, I don't remember. Yes, it's there.
Yes.
And you can tell by symptoms, because your body, your soul's going to push you back to wholeness constantly. That's our nature. You cut yourself, your body's going to heal it. Your body's going to push out the pus and heal that wound. That's our nature. And our psyche does exactly the same through symptoms. And the more you don't listen, the bigger the symptoms. So,
No, I hear you.
That's called being human.
And it's interesting because now we're finally seeing in today's world, people are actually paying credence to are actually looking at the more, I guess you define it, the energetic aspects of our existence and how the universe preserves memory. It's never lost. It has to be the awareness of that memory that actually liberates you from it, from your suffering. Yeah.
Because Buddha said, it doesn't matter if you win or lose, but don't lose the lesson, So everything has an amazing lesson in it. So don't lose it. That's called wisdom. When you process, like, what's hell? It's fire and pain and take away the pain. Take away all of the heavy negative pain, and what do you got? Pure fire. What's fire symbolizes? Passion, energy, meaning, focus. That's a hell of a lot of energy that you can use consciously for to evolve yourself. To actualize yourself, instead of using it to suppress and hide. And what are you hiding? You're hiding nothing actually. Those wounds come from childhood, but if you analyze them, they're actually lies. They're bad, wrong, shouldn't, mustn't. What's that? And I spend my whole life hiding from that. Oh, maybe I really am stupid, maybe, and so I'm going to be like this and like that and like this to hide that that I believe I'm stupid. Have a look at that. There's no such thing. It's crazy. We all have a brain, there's no such thing. So hiding what's not real in case it might be, is a terrible way to live. It's a terrible way to live. You miss yourself. Missed myself. You're going to be on your deathbed. It's like, oh my God. I believed that crap about myself, and now I'm dead. I'm gonna die.
It's quite the existential nightmare. and I was going to ask, you studied, your resume of healing modalities that you've gone through, I have to just first say it's impressive. It's amazing. It's quite extensive. And I was going to ask you, what was the most difficult one and what was the most revealing one? Not which one was better, but I mean, there's obviously one where there's a certain degree of like stress that your body goes through. And I also think there's one that reveals a lot about you. What revealed the most about your authentic self?
Um, uh, the Gurdjieff work. I didn't write it down actually because I don't know. But I've been studying the Gurdjieff work for many decades, and it's an esoteric science, is what it is. And it's based on the universal laws, and it's very specific. And what you do is develop, I wake up in the morning, I eat, I drink, I've got energy. So instead of wasting my energy all over the place, I focus it on observing myself, and what I'm observing is what is observable belongs to time. So it dies. My personality is totally observable. Yes. So who's observing is who I really am. So I'm using my energy to strengthen me observing myself.
Incredible. I think in the Vedic practices, they mention it's called being a jnani. It's a yogi who contemplates the meaning of their existence to a certain point where they can actually become observant of the intellectual just the processes that are running around them. And by doing that, they actually reach liberation by reaching that which is actually the perceiver. Like you mentioned, the true perceiver of things. And through that, you actually liberate your karma, if you believe in it. You actually mitigate it because you're no longer entangled. You're no longer caught up in the web of nonsense, as they call it, that everyone else is.
Yeah. By releasing yourself from past karma is through self-observation and seeing your own delusions actually gives you a bloody shock, mate. It's like, oh no, and that that shock is what releases what releases you from karma, because it's a suffering, but it's a conscious, intentional suffering, focused on a root cause, and when the reality of that you've done and you realize the damage that you've done is a big suffering. That's what that energy, that suffering energy through realization is a certain substance, and it clears because just it changes your frequency. It changes your frequency. Yeah, so that's what I study, and I've been doing it for many, many years. And so developing me seeing myself, and what I'm seeing is what I'm not. So what's reality? What's reality? I'm a nice person's reality. No. Whatever is observable is what you're not. So imagine if you see what you're not, then you can use it. For a conscious, intentional cause, for the good of yourself and humanity. When you see it can be used, but if you identify with it, then you're only in reaction. You're in reaction, so if I then identify with being scared, I identify who I am is scared, and then whatever happens, I'm like, watching it and trying to find out, because I'm scared. But if you see scared, you can use it, it's like, oh, this is a dangerous situation because that part of me is there, So then I can observe it instead of projecting scared onto the whole world, So, and then reality is who you really are instead of your programmed mind. So then, you know, your programmed perception of reality, you see it. So then you don't become a victim of other people's hysteria. Number one, you know, you're free from that because I know me. So that means you can't put your reality onto me. Oh, you're this and that and that. No, because I know me. Like codependence is really, it's a killer. Codependence will kill you, whoever's out there. If you're codependent, do something about it, because it'll kill you before heroin will, you know? Heroin, you can see. Codependence, oh, you're so nice, you're so lovely. No, it'll kill you. And the reason your codependence is because you don't really, really know yourself.
Incredible. And I know, so the wisdom where it's coming from is a very intense place of meditation. Like it's, you know, I feel like our society is still coming into this type of awareness. And so it's hard for a lot of people to hear what you're saying without being, like you said, reactive or responding in a dogmatic way or in a way that's destructive. And I think you talk about it is, you know, knowing yourself, it requires a bit of patience with everything else around you, you know, and knowing that everything in this life has its own state of, like, evolution happens at its own time, not at your own personal frequency, like you mentioned. And so I was going to say, you mentioned the key things, which I actually only realize now, kind of coming into my adulthood, is the mother-son relationship, and also how really, really potent that is. I think a lot of us don't realize that our relationship with our mother is the one we come into this earth with. Obviously, our father plays a pivotal role in shaping our I guess you could say, our projective values, how we conduct ourselves within society and everything. But our mother is where we have our highest level of compromise. It's always our mother where we find our deepest ability to feel our emotions and understand what we're going through without the facade, you know, without the projection of strength. And so you mentioned that's one of the core foundations of what you do. And so would you like to elaborate on that?
Yeah, well, your mother made you. You know, basically, your mother made you. So there's that tie. You know, do you know that out of the people, look at the people that get 100 people that committed suicide. Okay, 70% are male. So what's that?
Mm-hmm.
You know, what's that? And women, in like a patriarchal society where women are pushed down, do you think they're going to stay pushed down? No one wants to be pushed down. They're going to somehow get their power, you know, because if you're pushed down, that's slavery. You have no power. So you're going to find some way to get your power through passive aggressive manipulation, whatever. So women that have to be that way to survive, and then they have a son, you know, they're going to try and make their son the mother's emotional caretaker. My son's going to emotionally take care of me. He's not going to be like his father who doesn't care about, you know? He's going to be what I want, and I'm going to mold and manipulate him. You know, you can say her fault, his fault, whatever fault, but that doesn't matter. The judgment doesn't matter. Your judgment comes from emotional pain. Clear it. But the fact is that the mother has that power over her son, and the son feels it and knows it but can't escape. Like if you have a sister, your sister will tell you, oh, mum's doing this and mum's doing that, because women know, you know, but boys don't. So the mother knows how to manipulate her son, and through all of these different ways. Oh, you don't care, and after everything I've done for you, all of these manipulative ways that mothers know how to grab their son and have that power. So if you're powerless over patriarchy, the male, hey, you got a son, you're going to be powerful over him. So that dynamic, imagine what happens to the son. He there's a guilt inside, and then the male energy of wanting to protect and help, and feeling guilty and bad and wrong, and and then you've got to release it somehow, and then you project it onto your partner. You either submit or dominate, or you're out of balance. And that's why 70% of suicides are male. If you have a conscience and a sensitivity, and then you don't know where this is coming from, you're going to blame yourself. There's going to be self-hate to the point of suicide. So it's really important, what's important now on planet Earth, because we know how bad men are. The feminists have brought the male shadow to consciousness. We all know. What about the feminine shadow? We don't know. That's still and part of the traumas that are going on planet Earth are from the female shadow.
Incredible. And it's amazing to see, because most women, they don't really account for, I'm not saying it as a criticism, but in general, the feminine movement these days, it kind of neglects a lot of accountability type thing. It's like you said, it's a projection towards one side, but there's never that self-reflection of what's wrong with this side. And it's also the same with the patriarchy. You have the condemnation of the feminine way of life and existence, but there's also that you don't want to point at yourself type thing. And like you mentioned, I think the greatest struggle, and it's not just in terms of masculine and feminine, it's a spiritual struggle to find balance within yourself, that balance that you talk about, to actually harmonize things that are
reality, to find reality within yourself, to find what's really real. And what is observable is not who you are. What is observable belongs to time, and it will die when you die. So then who are you? What is observable? What is observing? There you are. You are the observer of yourself. With the feminine shadow, we have to bring that forward. Women have to own their own shadow. And feminism, like, oh, I'm a feminist, that means men are bad and wrong. That's not feminism. Feminism is rape centers, helping girls that have been raped, battered mothers, the vote. That's actually what feminism is. The other interpretation of feminism is just emotional garbage, and women are sensitive and men are bad. That's garbage. That's really dreadful, because everyone's sensitive, And it's like covert narcissism. It's covert narcissism. And the more I can blame you, it's your fault, the better I am. That game's over. That game is destroying planet Earth. Women need to look at their own shadow side, release the pain and ignorance from the shadow side, and be potent forces on planet Earth. Because women have a certain quality to contribute as men do. And if we're in this blame game and hate and projecting and everything, it's garbage. It's garbage. That's a waste of life completely.
Incredible.
I'm right, you're wrong. It's bullshit. Just have a look at reality. Let's do that. Let's have a look at reality. Everyone's got a shadow side. Everyone. Clear the pain from your shadow side, clear the pain from trauma, and there you are. You got yourself. You can use your own energy for your own evolution instead of using your energy for all of these contorted games, ignorances.
I think the only thing I can say is well spoken, and I think eventually the full potency of your message, people will actually get it at the right point in time, because that's basically the existential crisis that a lot of humanity is going through right now. And so obviously we're tight for time. And again, you're a completely amazing individual. You're actually really awesome to just, you're spitting bombs, you're spitting knowledge bombs, but we have to stick within the time frame and limit, unfortunately. But the last question, if you could just make it brief, was what are your thoughts on plant medicine? Do you think it's necessary for everyone? Or do you also think maybe it's become a bit of a societal obsession type thing, like, take this, take that, experience this level of consciousness? And are they...
Plant medicine, okay. Yeah. It's in ancient cultures. If you have a look at ancient cultures, pre-narcissism,
Yeah, pre-narcissism. Yes.
Pre-narcissism. Like my father, he came from Ossetia in the Caucasus, right? Mm-hmm. And he taught me how to use plant medicine. For example, wear clean clothes, like that haven't been used outside, so there's no one's energy on it. Mm-hmm. Wash yourself with salt. Mm-hmm. Clean, especially your back here where it's the external yang, internal yin yang, Yes. Clean yourself so you've got no one's vibration on you. If you're with people, start talking about go into a spiritual conversation where you move to a higher frequency, and then go outside, sit under a tree, and in his country it was hashish. Smoke that with your friends, so you're on the same level, and you move to a higher and higher frequency, and it becomes a spiritual search. Mm-hmm. So people use that as a spiritual search, but it has to be a certain way. Mm-hmm. But just to smoke marijuana or smoke hashish or it's going to take you to hell. Mm-hmm. Especially marijuana, people don't realize. Especially marijuana. Oh, that's nothing. That's not addictive. No, excuse me. It's a feminine energy. It's a mm-hmm. feminine plant. The spirit of marijuana is feminine, and it's very possessive and jealous. So it takes, especially men, mm-hmm. it takes their soul, man. Mm. It's really dangerous. It's really dangerous. If you take plant medicine can awaken you, but then you need to process in the right way. Mm-hmm. Because if you don't, it's just going to be an addiction, and addictions take you to hell. You have to process in the right way. You have to do it as a sacred ritual, because these plants are very, very, very powerful spirits. Mm-hmm. So don't play with them,
I don't even want to cut you off, because really you're speaking deep levels of wisdom, and truly, even just for my personal, and it's truly appreciated. I mean, it's sometimes better, I think, when men say things a certain way, not being too critical, sometimes it comes off as a bit harsh and blunt, but coming from a feminine energy of care and compassion, I think people can receive it a whole lot better. So I think you said things which were very, very important in a nicer way that people can actually take it. But
good.
more importantly, so just so that you guys know, if you do want to get in contact with Azzah, she has a website, www.azzah.org. You see it in the link in the description and bio. You can also, I don't know if you're happy with me sharing your email, extending it to those that want to email privately.
Whatever.
That's Azzah9 at yahoo.com. And then she has a website, A Search for Self, and no Instagram handle, which means she's pretty free from the social media entanglement that we're in. But again, for me personally, I just want to say thank you so much, Azzah. I hope to have you on again. And I hope that since I'm actually based here in South Africa, I'm sure there are a lot of people that would maybe want to get in touch with you and go through the healing modalities that you actually run through in your workshops. I think trauma is a massive, massive thing that a lot of people, ultimately in this lifetime, everyone's suffering trauma. It's inevitable.
Everyone.
And
it's the root cause of separating you from yourself.
And so, I think, it's good to have people with a certain degree of openness and kindness, and people who are willing to hold a space of non-judgment when you are going through certain things. And so, again, for those of you that have tuned into the podcast, please check out Azzah's website. Feel free to reach out to her. And again, we hope to have you on, Azzah. Truly thankful, and thanks for joining. I hope you had a good time.
Yeah, one thing, I'm writing a book.
Yes,
and it's it's not like this intense thick book. It's just little stories.
Yeah,
and it's called How to Be a Slave. It's a manual on how to be a slave. Interesting, isn't it? Like, for example, don't listen to your intuition, listen to other people. Slavery.
No, for this.
So that'll be coming out soon.
Is it gonna be which medium? Because here and Amazon and all those other mediums of exchange, I'm actually here. So
I don't know, mate. I'm illiterate on the computer. I don't know.
No stress.
But I'll get someone else to do all that.
No problem. Thank you so much, Azzah.
See you later, mate. It was besitos.